Welcome to another episode of Design with Pam. Today we're going to be working on a portfolio design right here in Figma. I'm going to show you how to design a very attractive portfolio in Figma, and I'll show you how to present your case study right here in Figma. So without saying much, let's go right into it. So this is going to serve like a very perfect guide for you in case you've been confused on how to tackle case studies and how to present your portfolio. You can apply it to any case study that you have chosen in your design and it's going to be absolutely fine. All right, so let's go right into it. I'm going to design landing page, the home page for my portfolio. So the first thing I'm going to do is to click on these frames here, and I'm going to go to desktop. Right, remember that if you are a hiring manager and you click on a portfolio link, you want to first see something that is extremely attractive, right? So we're going to make this home page very inviting that anyone looking at it will assume, even before reading your case study, okay, that this person actually knows what they are doing. Let's start by giving this page, let's create like a navigation section here. Another thing that we must do before we start designing is to add our layout grid. Even if you think you're so much of an expert and you can actually work and make everything consistent and well aligned, I would advise that you use your layout grid just to achieve that extra perfect alignment. So I'm going to go to layout and I'm going to click on this plus sign. Then I'm going to give it a setting. Let's go to columns. Let's change the settings. For the count, I'm going to be using a count 12 and I'm going to leave 8 at center here. Then I'm going to change the width to 64. I'm trying to use everything to be like a multiple of 4. That is, I'm using more like a 4-point grid system. So for the gutter, let's make it a 36, this is great. Now for our nav section, right, remember that for a portfolio you will need maybe sections like about us, your project, contact me, right, and home. So I'm going to click on T on my keyboard and I'm going to type home. So after typing home, I am going to duplicate this and let's type about. But before we do that, let's turn this into an auto layout by hitting Shift A. Let's remove this, change this into an auto layout and make sure that this is in a medium and this is 16, which is fine. Let's use another color here. This is the color I'm using. Let's use this black, this heather black. This is the color code 1E, 1E, 1E. Right. So let's duplicate this now and title this, let's say about. And the other one will be our section for our project. Then let's also create a contact us section. So I'm going to change this button, this text here to let's add more padding around it because we want to use it as our call to action button here. But let's select this, hold on to Shift, select the other one, create an auto layout too, and then come to this side. Let's give it a spacing of 24, which is fine. I'm going to make sure that it starts from this second column here, or let's give it a bit of space. Then let's walk around this one. So for this one that we're going to change to our call to action button, let's title it contact us. Let's title it contact us, contact me. Let's personalize this. All right, so for this one, let's work on the padding here. The padding of 8 is good. Okay, let's make it a full let's give it full rounded corners. Add a fill color here. Let's try to change the fill color to, let's use a black. All right, so let's double click into this and also change this color here to a white. This is okay. So let's give it more breathing space. For the horizontal padding, let's give it a 12. For the vertical padding, let's also give it a 12. Yes, I can work with this. So for this other one, let's select this one. You remember that we created an auto layout around this. Let's select this and hit Shift A. to create an auto layout. The spacing between here, remember I told you that I'm using like a 4-point grid system, so my numbering, my spacing, anything that has to do with numbers will be divisible by 4. So for this one, I'm going to say a 24. This is fine. All right, so I also intend to create more like a reaction when someone hovers around there. So I'm going to bring this out, duplicate it. I'm going to create a component with this. I'm also going to duplicate this, and I'm going to change the color here to green. The fill color, I'm going to give it a green. That's fine, green. This is fine. So I'm going to select this, hold on to shift, select this also, and come to this section and create a component set. So when I create this component set, I'm going to double click and select this one, switch to prototype and select this, connect this one to this one and set it to while hovering. So when you hover around, it goes back to this. Now this is the component set that we're going to be using. I'm going to remove an instance here and then copy this, right click into this, double click into this, right click, and then select paste to replace this. So what I created just now is just an instance like this. Let's preview the prototype so you can understand what we're doing. Now if I hover around this, it changes to green, which is fine. So the next thing we can do is to put our logo here. If you have your logo, you can add it here. Let's just add our logo here. Then I'm going to select this logo and select this other section and add an auto layout. So this has become my navigation menu here now. So you can add a bit of spacing for the vertical section. Let's add 2. This other section, let's also add it 2. So from the top, from the top now, I just want the spacing to be 34 is good. Let's enter this. This is fine. Now we have this going on. So the next thing I'm going to do is to create like a hero section. So I'm going to click on F on my keyboard and I'm going to draw a frame. So I'm going to make sure that the height of this frame is, let's give the height a 454. So I'm going to spread it all across. So remember that I told you that I want something to be colorful, like something that is popping, so that anyone that looks at my home page is also attracted at the first instance. So I'm going to change the fill color here to this column. I'm saying B10180, which is fine. Now I'm going to add my image here just to show, because it's a portfolio. So I already have this image. This image was just simply created with a rectangle. I created a rectangle, then I turned it around just like this, right? Then I attached my image here. So I just right click, or you go to this section here and click on file and then say place image. Make sure you're selecting the rectangle if you created a rectangle here, so that the image is going to automatically sit into this rectangle. I like doing things that are not too conventional, right? So I'm not just placing the image in a straight way. So I just wanted something dramatic. Then I have some sort of shape here going on. I will make sure that I place it at the end, at the bottom of the image, so the image sits on top. So the next thing I'm going to do is to create a text here. I'm going to click T and I'm going to say, hi, I am Pamela. Again, remember that I said that I like things to be unique. I'm going to change this font now. I'm going to change the font to, I have this really cool font, this really cool font that I want to use here. So the font is Annie, use your telescope. All right, this is it. And I'm going to increase the font to as much as 96. Which is fine. This says, hi, I'm Pamela. Then I'm going to click T on my keyboard and I'm going to type something else, a brief description, something that describes me. Let's go back to the fonts that we've been using. This one, let's reduce it to a 20. Make sure that we leave it at medium. Medium is fine. Or let's make it a 24. This is fine. senior product designer, tech creator, lawyer, and mentor, entrepreneur. So you can just add anything that speaks to you at this point. What I'm going to do is I also want to put something very stylish at this point. So I'm going to create more space here. Then I'm going to go to star, create a bit of star here, and I'm going to increase the number of angles that it has to, let's say, 9. Just going to add it here. Also add it here just to create that separation. So let's change the color now. Let's give it something in the family of blue. This is fine. Okay, let's use the same color that we have here. This is fine. So I'm just going to hold on to Command or Control, right click everything and just group everything that is here. I'm going to go back to this and change the color. Right, so you can add more spacing here and then move this again to the right spot. Now this is good. And I'm going to make sure the spacing here is 54. The spacing of 54 looks good, looks fine. I'm going to leave it like that. So let's increase this height, or let's change the spacing here to 48. 48 is good. Now the next thing we're going to do is to sort of say, I want to say at this point, my design principle, just to show like your steps you take as a designer in arriving most of your design, your thought process, and those kind of things. So I'm going to just click on T on my keyboard and I'm going to type my design process. So after you have created this nav section, you can create like a hero section that is very inviting, and then you can talk about your design process. Remember, what we're creating is more like your home page now, right? So your home page will display all your case studies or any other thing you would like to talk about that speaks to you as a designer, right? So this is your design process. So what is your design process? This is what you get to put here. So I'm going to click on T and I'm going to say understanding the problem. So I'm going to make this a regular and reduce the font to a 20. So after understanding the problem, do market research. I do market research. After doing market research, do user research. Or we can also say that market research and user research, they all come together, or we can still separate it and say user research. So this stage can be categorized as the discovery stage. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make this a bold just a bit. Let's make it a semi-bold. So for this one, let's make it semi-bold too. Let's bring this down. Let's bring this down just a bit. Maybe we can increase it to a 32, which is fine. So for this one, discovery, after discovery stage, we have the define and ideate stage, which is maybe like the problem statement, brainstorming, user persona creation, and all of that. So I'm going to select all this. I'm going to click on Shift A to create an auto layout. The spacing between it is 20. Let's give it a spacing of 16, which is fine. Then I'm going to also select this group here, then select this header here and create an auto layout. The spacing between it should be a 24, which is fine. Then I'm going to duplicate this. Then I'm going to title this one. My next design process will be to define, after making the discovery, that's understanding the problem and doing research, I tend to then create like a problem statement, brainstorm, maybe create user personas. All this can be categorized into define and ideate stage, right? So let's also say problem statement problem statement. So the other one will be brainstorming. Then the other one is going to be, let's say we're creating user personas here. User personas. All right, so after we've done that, the next stage will be most likely be us like doing wireframes, prototyping, testing, right? So I'm going to duplicate this again, and let's say wireframe, prototype, test, and refine. So this stage we can call it define, design and ideate stage, design and prototype stage. So what other stage can we say, what other process can we say we carry out in this design? So after you've created wireframe, maybe the prototype, you've tested, you refined it, then it then goes to development. Right, so in this development stage, this is where you work with the dev team, right? For you, this is our part here. Work with the dev team, view UI implementation. After reviewing UI implementation, we can say we do review the user flows too at this stage, you know. So even after you want to make sure that your UI is the same thing that the dev team implemented, you also need to make sure that the user flows are all correct, because sometimes it can link a screen to another screen that was not the screen that you intended it for, right? So we also do that in UX design. So after that, our process does not stop here. The next thing we do is maybe like UX audit. Maybe so after development, maybe deployment has been done, then we go ahead to also always do UX audits. So you can also add like if you're using a particular tool for your UX audit. For me, I'm very conversant with Mistpanel, right? So I use Mistpanel for UX auditing. I can just say at this stage, what we did is analyze data, 5 pain points, drop-off points. Then the other one, what else do we do at this point? Make correction and work on recommendations, make adjustments at this point. Another process that we follow is user feedback and iteration. So apart from working with forms like Mistpanel, I also like get feedback from users to understand their pain points or to understand your feedback based on the feature that has been released. So it's good to work if your team has like a customer experience unit. It's good to work together with them so that you have first-hand information about the pain points of this user. So gather user feedback. Remember, this is not like everything I'm doing here is just to guide you. You can edit it and personalize it and make it work with the process that you're very comfortable with. So make updates at this point too. Make updates, improve UI, UX and UI based on feedback. So another thing I would like to add here is to say that redo the process. So redo any process. Redo the process. This is to say that go back any step where needed. I can go back at any step where needed. It's not like a linear process where I must do discovery, then define, then design and prototype, right? So even when I'm done with all this process, I can go back to discovery stage and say, okay, maybe I didn't really fully understand my market research. I didn't really fully understand the problem, right? I didn't really create my persona, or I can go back to define an idea set and say that I didn't really create a persona that captured my target audience. I can then redo that process again. So for when we say that we're designing, we're creating, we're UX designers, or when we say we're designing something, it doesn't mean that we're following one rigorous route like discovery, define. It doesn't mean anything can be adjustable, and that is why mostly we work in an agile team. If we gain new information, we can go back a step in between and say, okay, let us redo this process before we carry on. And that is why I make sure that at this point I can say redo any step where needed. Constant reiteration, so I can also leave it on improve UI. So this is that. So I can note, if you notice, maybe the spacing I put here might be too small. Okay, let's just leave it like that. I'm going to select all of this and then hit Shift A to create an auto layout. So this other one, I'm also going to create an auto layout, and they're all on hot content. So I'm also going to select this first one, select this one, select this other one, and create an auto layout. And I'm going to make sure that this is centered. Now let's leave it at left alignment. Select this to create an auto layout and give it a spacing of, let's say, a 60. This is fine. I'm creating an auto layout now. Then the next thing I can do is to make sure that the spacing between these two is 48, just like we used here. 48 is good. You can also create an auto layout in it. Now this is good. So for proper alignment, you know, we have like 4 rows here and we have just 3 rows here. Let's make it better aligned. Let's increase the gap here, horizontal gap between these items. Let's make it a 124, which is fine. So let's close our grid line so we can see. I think we can work with this for a bit, right? So this is fine. The next thing we can add here is to add top scales, right? So I already created a reusable component here. I'm going to link it in the description below so you can copy it and make use of it. So I'm just going to paste it here. Then I'm going to increase it. This my items here. So the goal of this section now is just to add some more of beautification and describe other skills that I have that are kind of related to UX design, product design, but is different, but kind of related to it and adds more value for me. So I chose product design, video editing, content creation, content writing, CV writing, CV and LinkedIn optimization, branding. And at this point, I would like to say that I am an expert CV and LinkedIn optimization writer. I have had over 50 clients last year testify that they got a job from my CV writing and LinkedIn optimization, and most of my job gigs are based on referrals, and that's why you don't see me talk much about it, but I emphasize on UI UX. But PS, I do much more than UI UX design. I'm an expert CV writer, video editor, content creator, and content writing. I'm also very good with graphic design, logo, banner, and the likes, so I had to add it here. So the next thing I'm going to do is to select this one, select this, and create an auto layout. Let's just center it somewhere here. So once we do that, I'm going to select this other one, create another layout here, create an auto layout. Make sure the spacing of, we've been using let's use a 16 now because I want a lot of spacing here now, but I want this, my title here, to align with this text that I have here. Let's go back and put on our grid lines. I want it to be inside my grid line, right? Because immediately I created an auto layout, this conformed to the spacing or the padding around this frame that I used around that. You can see there are extra spaces here. So I'm just going to click on this one and I'm going to come to this absolute position, select it, and then place this wherever I want it to be. So for this one, let's give it a padding. I'm going to select this one. Okay, we have created an auto layout on it already, right? So I selected this and added an auto layout for this. So the next thing I'm going to do is to type selected projects, right, which I've already added to this section. So this is where I get to bring in my selected projects, right? Remember, we also have selected project here, but on your home page, it's advisable to write your selected project. And when writing the selected project, it's also advisable that you give it a title and a brief description so that anyone looking at your home page already knows the kind of content or the kind of project that you have worked on and would just maybe click on the one that is applicable to that they would like to view, right? So in this tutorial, we're going to be focusing on one case study, which I'm going to take you through on my thought process and how I came up with that case study. So I already have this template or this frame that I've already created with the title of the project and my role here, which is product designer. Select the two, make sure the spacing is 60 is fine. No, So what I did for this section now is to give it the title Access Bank, right? So this case study is based on a feedback that I got a friend who uses Access Bank and has been having always makes mistake while making transfers. So I decided to review the process or the flow for this transfer on Access Bank, and I wrote a short case study around it. So now this is what my project looks like so far. So let's go to prototype here. Let's review it. So now this is the project. I gave it a title. I wrote my work here, product designer, Access Bank, and I also gave it its brief title. This case study investigates the recurring issue of erroneous fund transfer faced by an individual through a comprehensive analysis. This study aims to identify the root causes of these errors and propose effective strategies to mitigate them. All right, so this is the flow. Now let me also put it through. If you have other projects you want to display here, you can also display it. So display it here if you have other projects. So apart from case studies, if you're a junior designer and you're also upcoming, you can also display your UI designs, right? Maybe you've designed different screens and you would like to showcase them here. You can also add a section on your portfolio to show UI designs. I'm going to show you. I also have this here. So I have this, I created this to show UI designs, and I'm going to show you how I arranged it right here in Figma. So I'm going to select the two, create an auto layout. The spacing need, let's give the spacing need 120, which is fine. Remember, I put a learn more button. So when someone comes on your page, on your home page, and wants to access any of your projects, the person clicks on learn more, and learn more takes them to the project. So let's go ahead and let me go ahead and connect this project that I've already created and show you, take you through my design, my thinking process. Head to bring in this case study and some other screens that I've created and some design. I'm going to show you how I link them all right here in Figma. So let's just clear our dashboard. So now for the about us section, I just went to prototype and I linked it to the about us section here. So for this case study here, for the learn more, I just went ahead and linked it whenever you click on learn more. Let's remove this and see when click. So this other one too has a learn more button. I'm going to link it to the screens that has the UI, just the UI. Let's detach this. This is showing because I've already linked it someplace else before now. Now, if you can see what I did, I just titled this 30 UI design across different industries, right? I said I have curated a diverse collection of notable UI screens showcasing my experience in designing for various industries with a rich portfolio that spans across SaaS, fintech, etc. I have had the privilege of contributing my design expertise to a range of companies and sectors. Now, another unique thing that you can do is, if you notice on this page here, this is the case study for Access Bank. If you notice on this page here, I have this, when the user gets to this end screen, I have this button that when they click on it, they can go to the top, and when they click on next UI screen, this 30 days UI, when they click on next case study, it takes them to the next case study, which is this one. I hope we understand. Now, this is an instance if you want to host your portfolio on Figma, which is actually doable, because once you're done with it, you can share this to anyone and make sure that you've created a very, very responsive prototype, right? And before you share it, you could go to websites, and some websites are shorten URLs because Figma URL is very long. Go to website that shorten Figma URL and shorten the URL so you can easily share that, right? And it's advisable that you can host on Figma. To me, this is my own personal opinion, right? You can host on Figma if you're not able to create a website, and you can also host on Behance and Dribble. Just the way I arrange all of this, you can arrange it and post it on your Behance account. Please take your portfolio seriously. It's always good to have something that showcases your skills and your talent, right? So let's go ahead and look at this case study that I created for Access Bank. So I'm going to play the prototype now. Now, this is the landing page. Now this is the page that you get to once you click on that. So let's start from the prototype itself so that we can look at the experience, enjoy the experience. Now this is our portfolio, right? This is our portfolio. We've created it. We said, hi, I'm Pamela. You could put something very interesting that speaks to you as a person. I talked about my design process, I talked about my top skills, and then I selected project that I worked on, and I wrote down here. So you can also remember to also include a footer here. So I'm going to copy this, and I'm going to select this, and I'm going to paste it here. Let's copy this very well. Copy this, select this, and paste. Let's bring it down here. Sure this is at the bottom, align this properly. So for my footer, I just added like my resume here, project, one-on-one mentorship. This is speaking to me, my contacts, my email, and my all rights reserved. All right, so once you create this thing, you can also bring it to life with platforms like Webflow, if you're able to use Webflow, right? So let's go ahead. You can see the project here. So let's go ahead and click on learn more for this project. So once you click on learn more, you come to this section here. So I titled this section, I put this very interesting design here for Access Bank, and I titled the title of this case study is Mitigating Errors in Fund Transfer, a case study for Access Bank, my role UI UX designer. So I went ahead to give a background of it. So I said, a friend, remember that a case study is you expressing your process of coming up with that design. You need to be real. It's not something very stringent or something you have to be very robotic about it. You need to express yourself. If you encountered any challenge, you encountered any obstacles, or you got confused at some point and you later figured it out, those are the thought process that a real recruiter will want to see. Honestly, if they want to see how you think, how you solve a problem, how you come up with a solution. Those are the things they want to see. Don't take it as if when you open a case study and you want to do that, you must follow like a straight line process to say that you're creating. First of all, you have to create user journey map, you have to create wireframes, you have to do lo-fi wireframes, hi-fi wireframe, those kind of things that you have learned. To me, in this case, I didn't create a wireframe. I'm not advising you against creating a wireframe and anything, or creating a user journey and stuff like that. If it is going to help your case study, if it's something that benefited your research, your process, then please go ahead and include it. So for me now, I just gave a brief story about like the overview and slash problem statement. A friend told me how he consistently faces difficulties in ensuring the accuracy of his fund transfers mobile application, so often resulting in payments being directed to incorrect recipients. In the first quarter of 2024, he has had over 3 wrong transfer, resulting into over 100,000 naira loss on his part. So this has become like a cause for concern and all of that. But through a comprehensive analysis, this case study aims to identify the root cause of these errors and propose effective strategy to mitigate them. So I also went forward to say that it might seem like the fault is on the user who is not very careful enough to review his transaction before approving the transfer. However, I'll be analyzing the app flow and screens to identify the point that is most likely contributing to this error and creating a solution. Remember that there's no user's issue that is not relevant, right? Always try to fulfill a user's problem or find a solution to their pain points, right? So I did like an analysis. I asked myself what is likely going to causing the error when it comes to fund transfers. Number one is human error, which obviously is on his part, because someone like me, I cannot mistakenly transfer even if it's 1,000 naira to somebody. Anyway, but I've also had an issue where I transferred. I did data, and the data went to a wrong account. I didn't even bother calling the person. There was no need. So I said the primary cause of erroneous fund transfers is attributed to human error, including typographic mistake, and incorrect input of account numbers. Number two is lack of verification mechanism. The absence of robust verification mechanism during the transfer process contributes to the inability to detect errors promptly. Number 3 is cognitive overload. Factors such as time pressure or distraction increase the user's cognitive load, making it more challenging to focus accurately entering transfers. So this, my friend, I can tell you categorically that one of the reasons why he's facing this problem is cognitive overload. He's actually very busy. Always very busy, right? So let me not jinx it. Let's go ahead and look at everything. So now that we have looked at some things that could be causing this frequent error in transfer, let's examine the persona of this user and the flow of the transfer process. So remember, I told you that I'm sure that cognitive overload is part of the things that is contributing to the user's error in making transfer. So his persona, I said I examined the persona of my friend. Please see the chart below, right? One can easily conclude that one of the root causes for his wrong transfer is cognitive overload. Yes, please conclude, because it's actually true. He's always busy and distracted, and it makes it challenging for him to focus on reviewing his transfer details. However, I went ahead to review the flow of the application he constantly has these errors on to see if the app itself is contributing to this issue. I believe also that there should be measures in place for personas like him to avoid such constant errors. So even if you say that he's always the one that is not paying attention to his transfer, but if there's a way that our design can actually solve this problem for him, why not? Please go ahead. So this is his persona, right? His name is Sky. He said, I want to stop. This is his quote, like, I want to stop making errors when doing transfer. His age is 30, stays in Lagos, he's married, he's a lead UX designer. He's 30 years old, who currently works 3 jobs. So you see why he's actually having cognitive overload all the time, and is constantly busy and gets distracted while engaging in activities outside work. He needs a solution that will put an end to his wrong transfers. So his goals: to send transfers to his beneficiaries successfully, frustration sending money to the wrong account. All right, so this is the flow today, the current flow. Once a user logs in, he gets to the dashboard. So I need to point to you that I created this flow that you're looking at in flowchart, Figma flowchart, right? So you can also create it. And if you also want, there's a tutorial for how to create this flowchart. I'm going to put the link below, right? So once the user gets to the dashboard, the user selects transfer, inputs details, review page, clicks pay, and enters PIN, right? So this is the flow today. So when you come to this dashboard, you just click on, maybe you want to send to Access Transfers or other banks. So if you select other banks, you come to this page here. You select your beneficiary, input the details here. So once you input the details here, immediately you select the bank account number, put the account number. The name of the beneficiary comes up here. You can see here where it's written Ohenri Lilian Chinoyim. I've seen so many applications like this that just shows you the name just at the bottom of the input field here. Yes, for someone that does not like to waste money, you're going to be very diligent when you're making this transfer. But for someone that is extremely busy, how diligent can they get, right? So once you do that, you come to this section, and this is section you get to. This is the review section, right, where you get to see your review from. You can see your account, and then you can see the place you're sending the account number to, right? So this is the process. So but I now did another further analysis. Like I said, upon close examination of the front transfer process, it becomes evident that the verification mechanism situated on the review page lacks intuitive design, potentially leading to errors. So if you look at this, right, what is highlighted here is the account number, right? This is what is bolded, but the name is written in a faint letter, right? So look at this page now. As someone, it's me, this is the review page, this section here. As someone who is busy, what are you going to look at? First of all, you might not notice this information at the top here, right? So this can actually contribute to you making errors when you're making transfer. I believe this contributes, right? So the absence of robust verification mechanisms significantly impairs my friend's ability to promptly identify errors, right? So the placement of recipient details at the top of the screen fails to adequately prompt user to rectify any potential errors, thereby undermining the effectiveness of the verification process. So apart from the fact that my friend is always very busy, which is contributing, I can tell you that this design flow which is meant to aid my friend to stop making those errors, is actually contributing to the errors, this review page. So what I did was I created a solution. Proposed solution is implement confirmation prompts that are very noticeable and lays emphasis on the recipient's name to verify the accuracy of the transaction. Now the emphasis I'm laying is not on the account number. Tell me how many people actually knows account numbers of their beneficiary offhand, except it's my account number. I'm not cramming any other person's account number, right? So yeah, if you look at here, they laid emphasis on the account number and not on the name. So this is my own take, right? So there's several ways to approach a design problem, right? But this is my own approach. So I also went ahead to say user-friendly design interface, design intuitive and user-friendly interface to fund transfer platform. Looking at the Access Bank interface, there are just too many information on each page and they like hierarchy and clarity. A redesign is essential to reduce the constant transfer errors. So this is my research and this is my recommendation. So the first thing I did was, because I was being pinched on the way their dashboard looks like, their homepage looks like, I tried to redesign it at this point, right? This is my first attempt at redesigning it. Remember that the goal of this design was not really to redesign the homepage, but to solve the transfer issue. But however, the designer in me prompted me to let's try and do something, which I dribbled within a few hours. However, this is my take on my first iteration. My first opinion on the first bank app was that the information on the dashboard is a little too much and it lacked hierarchy and people couldn't easily find information with a glance. So I decided to revamp the homepage. I came up with the above, which is this. However, while testing with reusers, remember, it doesn't matter what your opinion is. This was my opinion, but I had to test with reusers, people that actually use the mobile application. I got feedback from two people that both use the same Access Bank app. One said the information they placed on the blue background with the white text made it easy for them to easily see the information. So they actually preferred the fact that there was this blue text, that the key actions here, which is access transfers, other bank transfers, were in white and they could easily see it, right? One said the information they placed on the blue background with the text made it easy for them to easily see the information, which is also this side, right? This is the one tap payment, which you can edit and add anything you like. The other noted that the use of color on the card for tap payment section made it easy for her to quickly access. So this whole thing is talking about these whole places that I've highlighted. So remember, this was my first iteration. They complained about the Access Bank transfer, the card, right? The card that I used here and the colors and everything, that it wasn't so easy for them to notice. So I went ahead to do a second iteration. So I decided to redo the dashboard and also had a review with the same set of people, and the feedback from the person who noted that the information they placed on the blue background with the text made it easy for her to easily see the information. She now confirmed that the new design was great and asked how I made sure the information was more visible. So the second person who had concern with the way I earlier placed the one tab section as items confirmed that the second iteration addressed her concern. Right. So this was the design I came up with. Added all of this. I gave the card. There was some kind of thought process I had with redesigning this, because I felt when you come to a dashboard, you have to see your account number and you should be able to copy it, right? You could see your book balance, you should be able to hide all of this. So at this point, which they were not doing on their home page here, except maybe you dig down and go to menu or something, right? So I had to redesign it. So there was a lot of thought process, but today's tutorial was mainly on this portfolio and case study. So let's not go deep into my thought process in this, but remember, again, for this icon, these icons are not too suitable, especially because I didn't have access to another version of this Access Bank logo icon. But you get the gist. Design is not just by taking elements and placing here. There's a thought process that goes on why we did this, why we did that, and all of that. So the solution was straightforward. Let's come back to the problem, which is solving the frequent wrong transfer. So I said the solution was straightforward. I implemented a model that appears, displaying the beneficiary's name and account number, prompting the user to confirm the accuracy of the name before proceeding. Additionally, I redesigned the review page, prioritizing the name and amount by using color, a thicker font, and increased font weight. So this is what I did. So once a user clicks on transfer to other banks, comes here, right? You can select your bank, enter your account number, then the beneficiary name is here, which is locked because you can't edit it. It's based on the value that you provided that it is here. I changed this card to blue, right, making it very conspicuous, more obvious than every other element here, which should prompt a user to see it, right? So I added some other things here. Once a user fills the information today, the user gets to see the name pop up here. So let's even imagine that this my friend that we're trying to solve his problem did not see this name again that popped up. At this point, once you click on proceed, you get to see this pop-up that says you're about to send 40,000 naira to Pamela on hiring. Is this account details correct? You get to see yes, proceed, and edit. This solves the problem. So once you click on proceed, right, you get to see your preview page and you enter your PIN and you make payments, right? So once you click on pay, you put your PIN and you make payments. So again, at this preview page, I highlighted its normal amounts in a very conspicuous color, brown color, the name, also the total amount, also in a way that you can see it. So feedback, I tested the solution I implemented with the same friend who has been experiencing erroneous transfer, and he confirmed that it will significantly reduce errors in his transfers. So yes, this is it. So let's look at the other case study, which is the 30 UI designs that I created. So this is how I arrange the flow. So for each of the screens, I just kind of scaled it down to fit this card here. I then arrange them. For me, I'm a design tutor, so if you click on each of this screen, it can take you to watch the tutorial yourself. So I added all of this. So if you click on any of this, you get to see the screen here. So I added this back front button just to take you to different screens, just in case you're interested in viewing it, as simple as that. So this is how it was. A lot of process in connecting it and all of that, right? But it is worth it. So you can click on this and it takes you to this screen and you can view all of these designs, all of the designs here. You can view them. So far we have covered everything with design portfolio. So if you also want to come to this section here, if you also want to come, when you click on this for your about section, you can also create a very interesting about section here. Just talk about yourself. It mustn't really be about your product, about the fact that you're a product designer. We all know. You can see me here. I say I'm easygoing, always striving to bring my best fit to the table. I firmly believe that nothing is impossible. My creativity knows no bound, and I can proudly say that I am an exceptional designer in every aspect. So I just highlighted what speaks to me: lawyer, tech creator, product designer, brand expert, and you can see the contact me button. So more about me and some things that I also do, right? This is it. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and I wish you the best of luck when creating your portfolio. I wish you the best of luck when finding a design job. It can be you, it will be you that will get that job and that will scream that yes, you have gotten the job. It can be you. So thank you for coming to today's tutorial, today's episode of Design with Pam. I'll see you next tutorial. Bye.